time to talk about Jacob's
It's
stuff a
not
little
the
bit.
WB.
I know, we're going to talk about this forever. We're going to move on, though, to our featured topic of the night.
Hey.
All right. This is the time of the show. Jacob's here. I want him to have some time to talk about his show.
Hey.
IPA Sessions. You can watch it on YouTube. He's got it on TikTok now. You can follow him. Please check it out. This is going to be something great for everybody that actually wants to talk to or like listen to people that work in the entertainment industry, that are showing you how to do it, that are teaching you their path, and maybe you can learn from it. So Jacob, I just want you to let you get into this and just, talk about your show a little bit. Tell our audience about IPA Sessions.
Well, IPA Sessions is a podcast for independent artists. It's a place where I like to try and provide inspirations for practical application, IPA, in entertainment. And I'm someone who loves to talk, but this is a place where I give a platform for the guests that come on, the independent artists. It's a place to help promote their work and for them to share their personal experience and journey of what they've gone through. I've interviewed actors, writers. I interviewed an illustrator, which was really cool to have him on. I've interviewed musicians, people who create TV series, people who have tried to do all kinds of things in the independent world. Singers. The first season is done for right now, but you can go back and listen on Spotify, Anchor.fm. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Google, Amazon Music. We're on most platforms out there that you can find podcasts on. And it's a very simple 30 minutes to about an hour discussion with these artists, and they just tell us what they're there to talk about, what they're there promoting. And if you're someone who's like looking to get into this industry, whether you want to be an actor, a musician, a writer, a dancer, you want to actually be a real artist that paints and draws, these are my guests that come on and they tell you what they do, what their struggles are, but also what their triumphs are, what they've achieved, what they've had to put up with, what their financial takeaway is, and why they continue to do what they do. We are mostly starving artists. It's a tough world, but at the same time, I interview people just as crazy as I am because we absolutely love doing what we do, which is putting ourselves out there and being creative. And I like to try and give them that platform to speak. And I hope that whatever their experience is, whatever their personal journey is, will, affect someone else who can take their story and learn from that and go out there and do it themselves and know what to expect, to understand the hard realities of what can happen. Brian, I had you on my show and, you gave a great interview talking about your TV series, The Valley, and how you went about creating this monster of a massive
knows very well.
thing. Yeah, it took a lot of work to create this. And you told this really great story of like after you had done all this hard work for like years of filming and working with people and getting it edited, you had to get a distributor. And you had this amazing story where you had this distributor that you called and they just laughed at you for 30 seconds nonstop, just laughed at you and then hung up on you.
And then clicked.
And that's a hard reality that a lot of people who are in this industry are going to have to face. You have to learn to be thick-skinned. You have to learn to persevere. You've got to be determined. It's okay to take some criticism and understand how to listen to the feedback that you're getting, but try and work off of that, make yourself better, but also have faith in your own work as well. Don't listen to all the negative, but pull pieces from it and allow it to make you a better artist, a better content creator, or whatever it is that you're trying to do. I have a new season coming out. I'm hoping to air season 2 sometime early February, maybe the Friday, I think it's February 2nd. Nice. I have all kinds of people coming on this season. I've got a really cool interview with a death match professional wrestler who does these crazy like death match wrestling stunts with barbed wire and glass tubes. It's insane. So I'm really excited to have him on. I have artists coming on. I have actors. I have people coming back talking about their new work. So you're going to get a little bit of guests from the previous season talking about where they
Updates.
are now, what their new stuff is, some updates. I've got new musicians lined up. I have new filmmakers lined up. I'm trying to get new talent out there. I'm looking for anyone. I mean, if you're a dancer, I would love to interview you. If you're someone that's out there and you professionally dance, if you're someone out there, I have a stunt person that's coming on. They're going to tell me I have a stunt woman who's going to be on.
Oh,
So she tells me about the
nice.
world of stunts, what it takes to make it in the world of stunts. I know a lot of people are like, hey, I want to be a stunt man. She'll tell you how to go about it. And that's the cool thing about my show is that I allow these people to tell their story, what they did, and you do your best. If that's something you want to do, to apply what they're saying and make it a reality for yourself. And just know what's going to happen and what's going to come along the way to prepare yourself. Because if you really want to do this, do it. That's it.
And a lot of people don't, as we talked about in your show, it's like people get scared, and it's like it's just taking those steps. And it's a big thing is finishing too. A lot of these projects, people just don't finish. And that's very unfortunate. You spend all this time, this money, and this effort, and then you just stop. And it's like, then what's the point of all that? Like I talked to you about in the show before was, for the calling, when I was calling these places, it's like, yeah, the show's done. Sabrina and I were like working our asses off to get together. Scoring was taking a long time, but like the scoring happened during COVID. We figured it out. And then it's just getting somebody to air it. And it's like, oh, it seems like, oh, you got a product. It should be the easiest part. You got something done. Good. No. People don't want to answer your phone calls sometimes, Yeah. So you just got to keep calling and calling. And I went through the yellow pages and called every freaking distribution place in town and eventually found somebody. And that's what you have to do. You have to persevere and push. My question for you, though, what's one of the best stories you've had from somebody that's been on your show so far?
Other than the one I just told about you that made me laugh about the person hanging up on you, that was one of my favorites that made me giggle. I had a conversation with one of the guests on my show, and it's a I don't know how to phrase it. It's sorry, I know we're live. I'm taking up airtime.
You are good. This is live, everybody. No, that's the fun part about this too, is just going through and thinking about it and having a good time and just having an open conversation on the fly.
Yeah, I had an illustrator who did a children's book, and it was a really cool interview because I had never myself personally been interested in those kind of things, but I have a kid. He's 6, and this was something that was really unique to me because I was like, oh yeah, illustrators, that's a great thing. And I didn't know that most, authors and creators out there are independent. You don't all have publishers. And this guy, he collaborated with another artist. His name is Michael Garriga. He collaborated with another author. I apologize, can't think of the author's name off the top of my head. But they made a children's book. She wrote it, the author wrote it, and he illustrated the images. And he had a chance to kind of bring what he said was like his childhood imagination to life. And he was able to create all these different characters, and he was able to bring out all these really cool images that brought the story to life. And for someone, you think a children's book, that's not very difficult to do. It's 2 or 3 lines per page, but as an illustrator, you have to bring those 2 to 3 lines to life. You got to show almost like an entire movie playing out in one image with no motion, because a child is looking at that and they got to see everything. So it was really cool to hear that perspective. And this was something that they were just doing. It was brand new to them. They were learning on the go. It's a really great episode. I highly recommend checking it out. It's How to Be an Illustrator with Michael Garriga. It's one of my earlier episodes from season 1. Fantastic episode. And I've had other great artists. I had a young artist on that I really enjoyed her story because she was super young. She's 17. She is a up and coming singer, and she talked about how her music helped her with her mental health and how she used that for her creativity. And she's so young, but super talented. Her name is Kaylee Lauren. Also a great episode. Check it out, along with many, many other guests. But I learned a lot that I myself have never either had interest in or just didn't have a clue about it. Because I like to write and create and podcast. But it's really cool to bring these artists on and get their stories. And there's a lot of good stuff that I'm learning from season 2, but I can't talk about it right now. But I have met some really good artists that I've talked to. So we have a good lineup so far, and I'm only trying to keep it growing. But I will say this. I am trying to get my show to grow and keep up with everything. So I am starting up YouTube and TikTok. And through
I saw
doing
that too.
YouTube and thank you. Yeah. Through doing
It's
YouTube and
great.
TikTok, I've been able to apply everything that I've listened to from these filmmakers that I've interviewed. And that has been super helpful for me because I've been able to make what I feel is pretty good content. My YouTube is mostly just audio tracks and clips that you're getting to hear from the podcast. You can catch every episode on YouTube. But for TikTok, it's been really fun because I got to make it flashy. I got to make it interesting.
Of
So it's
course.
like I try to pop up images that correlate to what the guests are speaking. So that way I don't lose the attention of whoever's watching the video. So I actually pulled a lot of ideas from Michael Garriga when he talked about illustrating. I pulled a lot of ideas from my guest Darren Manell when he talked about as a creator, what is it that you need to make your stuff work? I pulled from there what you have told me, which is persevering. I'm like, how do I make this work? How do I make it happen?
Yeah.
And it's pushing through and committing. And I've done it. I've got multiple videos up. I'm still making content. Once season 2 airs, you'll get more clips. So follow IPA sessions on TikTok, follow it on YouTube. We have a Facebook page. We have Instagram and Twitter, but I don't know for how long I'll have Twitter.
Twitter's changing a lot.
Yeah, it is.
We're
And
on
it,
Twitter too. It's just you never know though. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with that platform? But it's great that you're putting it everywhere. That's what you have to do.
yeah,
Get it out there, and you just keep putting it out there, and you keep trying and trying and trying, and that's how you get viewers. That's how people find it, and you're already having great strides already moving forward. It sounds like with the people coming on.
yeah.
How many episodes is going to be season 2?
Season 2, so first season 1 was 13 episodes
13,
plus a
right?
bonus, so it was about 14 total. I did a Halloween special. That was also really cool. We talked to scare actors because they are artists too. They scare the crap out of us on Halloween, and it's a really cool episode. Check it out. So for season 2, I am hoping to make it the full year. I'm a bi-weekly podcast, which means I air every 2 weeks. I usually air on Fridays. I'm trying to fill up the entire calendar year. I want to make at least 20 to 22 episodes if I can. That's the goal.
Nice. That'd be
To
great.
try and really fill up that calendar. So please, anyone out there, if you're an independent artist, I don't care if you make crafts, if you paint wooden fences, if you do murals, if you do anything that is creative, if you make beatboxing sounds, come on my show. I want to have your story on my show. I want you to tell us how you do what you do, why you do it, and share your journey and your experience with everyone else out there, because I guarantee you that if you are doing it, someone else also wants to be like you. Inspire them. That's the main goal. Inspiration.
Yeah, Sabrina knows that so well too, right, Sabrina? Being inspired, putting yourself out there. When we did the Valley, I mean, we met actually on Harrison. I did this short film called Harrison, and Sabrina was an actor, and then we kind of branched on into creating together. So it's a lot. It's a lot to do, and especially working a full-time job, because as it is, when you're starting off, you can't pay the bills doing that, right? So you're doing this and you're putting this effort out there, Jacob. So let me ask you, how do you do that? How do you do that working a full-time job? Because we didn't say this earlier, but Jacob also does locations. So
Yeah.
Jacob works on different TV shows, movies. He's been building his way up there, doing, you're looking at a movie. Someone's got to go out there and find that location where they're shooting at.
Right.
It's a lot of work. What's that job like? And then balancing that with the podcast.
Well, I love my new job. I'm a assistant location manager right now. I just moved up into that world. I PA'd on set for 8 years. It's actually when me and you met. You were standing in. I was a fellow
Yeah.
PA. I was the
American Horror
glorified
Story.
coffee bitch for so long. But I finally moved up into a different aspect of the thing. And basically, the locations job in cinema, it keeps me working in the industry, which I do love cinema. And it helps pay the bills. And it allows me to have the finances to fund myself. I have to buy my own equipment for my podcast. I have to buy my own equipment for any projects that I decide to do in the future with friends when I write these scripts and shorts that eventually I would like to try and bring them to life, film them. So this is what pays the bills. But podcasting for me is something that I've just kind of got into and I enjoy. I do like to talk, which is funny because my show is really the artists talking. They do most of the talking. It's all about them. But it's really nice to kind of take a step back and listen. That's something that just in general in life, I'm learning to be better at, which is just listen, be a good listener. And it's been really
Now we're
cool.
giving you time to talk now today too, because this doesn't usually happen, right? You're usually the one
Yeah,
that's
I feel so weird. I feel on the spot. I'm not comfortable with it. Now I guess I know how my guests feel when I talk to them. But it's cool. I like it. I'm growing with it, and I juggle that. So right now I've been taking advantage of the holiday break, which has been so cool because there have been so many other, again, people in this industry, especially a lot of people I've interviewed that work in the industry that are independent filmmakers and stuff like that. This is the perfect time to record sessions with them because they have time off. And then,
Yeah.
of course, once this week is over, we hit the ball running, going right back at it. So usually I record mostly on weekends when I'm working. And again, when we work in film and TV, we'll work for 2 to 4 months straight. Then maybe we'll have a week or two off, and I try and schedule sessions during that time. And my show, when I record a session with you, I work on your time. So I let you know when I'm available, but whatever time works best for you, I coordinate around. So if you're like, hey, I
Great.
can't make this time, I can only do this time, I will do my best to try and coordinate that I can stay on your schedule because it's about you, the artist. So that's what I try to do.
And we can vouch for that. We're going to come back on the show. Sabrina and I are. Last time it was just me.
Yeah.
But this time, we have Kruse Control. And it's like with this, we're trying to put ourselves out there some more. And we love collaborating with people like Jacob. It's like good people that just are doing the same thing, hitting the ground running, trying to make an imprint on this world. Because we come out here, we give up so much. And that's like one thing I like to talk about in the show, too, is like how much sacrifice there is in trying to work in the film industry and trying to make your own path. You give up time with your loved ones, your family. Sometimes we move out there with you. Sometimes you live in this town. The majority of people that live in LA are transplants, and we come out here. But now the way the world works, you can do this anywhere, but still to break into it, you got to come here. And for this, it really can help inspire people. And I think that's great, Jacob. I think it really can help people see other ones' paths, because when you come out here, nobody has the same path. It just doesn't happen. Like you think, well, there's got to be a path to be an actor. So if I want to be an actor, I got to do what? Like there's no rhyme or reason. Yeah. You want to be a writer like you too. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you get in there? How do you start getting your scripts out there? How do you get people to look at it and read one page? There's no blue book. There's no guidelines for it.
There's not. I met a graphic designer who has his online print shop, and just hearing that story, and he's an old friend of mine from back home, but it's so cool because I was like, I didn't know you did this. Tell me more. And it's really cool to hear these stories from people and the uniqueness of what they do, because it's awesome. And I would be a hypocrite, Brian, if I didn't come on your show and help you out, because you've done so much for me as well. And also being someone who makes a podcast for independent artists, that's the whole point, is I want to support other artists. That's why my show is fully independent. I do it all on my own. I do my own edits. I do my own production. I do my own promoting, my own pictures, everything I do myself. It's all me. But I wouldn't be doing what I do as well as I do it had I not done the first season and had a chance to talk to all these amazing artists who gave me helpful insight and inspiration and encouragement. And that's been really cool. So I do appreciate you having me on, and thank you for letting me talk about my show on your show. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah. I love that you came on. Great insight today. It's been a lot of fun talking about the subjects and getting into it. Here we're just trying to have fun and talk about the world we live in, right? And how it can affect you and affect everybody else, and give people an inside perspective. But that's really what this is all about. And that's like your show is too. It's an inside perspective for people that have no idea how it actually works. And then maybe they're thinking about coming out here. Maybe they are out here and they've been struggling and they're trying to find their way. Well, we tune in, listen, hear it from people that are actually hitting the ground running, the ups and downs, like the problems you get into, the stumbles, all of that, drama you get along the way. That happens a lot of times. There's a lot of times that you think you work with somebody and you can't. That stuff happens. It's just the life of the business. It's a lot of personalities jammed into one town. And now we have to coexist. It's almost like the driving out here. People from all over the world, how do they all coordinate together? They don't too well, by the way. That's an inside thing. They don't.
That's a terrible example.
there is one really cool takeaway from my show that's been a really cool personal experience for myself through podcasting and talking to all these people, is there is so much positivity that I've heard through the negative times when these artists are doing like whatever the negative walls that they hit, whenever they feel like they've hit their lowest point, or they've hit this obstacle they've run into where they don't know how to push forward, but they've overcome it somehow. It's really cool to hear the positivity in their experience in those negative moments. And they, like you said earlier, persevered, they pushed through, they completed it, and they got it done. That's the payoff, is hearing all this negativity and finding the positive in it. I think that's been a really cool experience for me. And I'm one of those people, I'm kind of an optimist. I am. I'm always optimistic. And so
You're
I
a
really
dying
like
breed.
hearing, I feel like we could, well, there's more of us out there. We just don't express it as much. But yes, it's really cool to hear that experience from people when they're expressing just the absolute worst moments of their career and their creativity, but hearing how positive they sound because they're like proud. They're like, I did it though. I pushed through that crap
Yeah.
and I did it. And that is so good to hear. And I love hearing
And
that,
that-
because my other goal is when you succeed, your success is my success. And I like hearing people succeed.
Yeah, that feeling at the end of the day being like, you did this, you accomplished it, that goes a long way. And a
does.
lot of people these days don't want to fight and work hard for something. They want it handed to themselves. It's kind of like what I call it ADD America sometimes. It's like you get kind of stuck in a way and you want it now, because
And that's
of how
me. I am. Yeah.
I'm the same way. I am. But like, I feel like you have to have that work ethic and know that you got to keep hitting that ground. You got to keep running. And a lot of times it doesn't fall onto your plate. You hear about people in this town all the time that's like, oh, well, they were, walking their dog and all of a sudden an opportunity came and that person saw them and then they're like, oh, it was great. Or, they bump into someone at the street and they have like their script falls them through the air and someone picks it up. I mean, crazy. That's a crazy story, but I'm just saying that's not normally how it works.
A long time ago, that stuff used to happen all the time, but it's not like that anymore.
No.
Sabrina, you've been on here for a long time too, right?
In a pizza parlor, like that's not gonna it's not gonna happen. That's not how it goes.
Yeah, they're not going to pluck me out of the mall.
Picking you up in a pizza parlor, they probably are going to try to do some shady things to you in order to give you what they say they can give you.
Yeah, you're working on the wrong movie.
Buyer beware.
I can't wait for us to be on your show too, because Sabrina too, she's been out here longer than I have.
Yeah,
and she's experienced a lot, like in her career too, kind of like her path in general, from studying in New York for acting to coming out here from the actor studio, coming out here and actually getting involved and learning and working on all these big productions and producing herself. Like Sabrina, you've done a lot too. Like, what do you think about this? Tell people your path too. Like, how do you feel? What you've learned along the way too? Do you think that you can bring to the show next week when we do ours? And also, like, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, how do you feel about opening yourself up and sharing your
on, Sabrina,
personal
put it out
experience?
Well, first of all, we're 12 minutes over, so I'm not going to share my personal experience right now. I am going to say that I look very much forward to coming on your show and sharing my personal experience, because that's what your show is about. I've been here for a really long time. It's been hard. I've had really great times. I've had really crappy times. My path has changed many times. And I chalk it up to you live and you learn. And even no matter how much you live and learn, you're still going to make mistakes. You're still going to make wrong choices. You're still going to think something's good that it's not. You're still going to be fooled. But the more times you go through a scenario, the better you get at it. And the easier you can navigate your way through, whatever that may be. Whatever job you're doing. My career has shifted a bunch of times. I used to serve. I was a server always, and I would like work on set here and there doing background, and then I started standing in, and I would bartend on the weekends because I wasn't enough to make ends meet, and then I was working all the time and I didn't need to bartend anymore, so I stepped away from that. And then I was kind of, this pandemic kind of threw everything on end, but like while doing all that stuff, standing in is great and all. It's a cool acting class. You learn how to find your light and find the lens and like all these things. It's great, and you are employed for the duration of a show, which is awesome. I love working on set. It's like a little family. It's great, but there's no advancement. You can't go anywhere from there. So it's like you're kind of trapped. There's no, like, when you're a PA, then you could be an AD, and you go from a second to a second to a first AD, and then you can direct. Like there's a ladder to climb, and standing in, there is no ladder to climb. So you either have to kind of make your own way, or shift into something else unless you want to be that 60-year-old stand-in who's, you know,
which some
The
people do.
professional stand-in,
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and they do,
the
yeah.
career
I
stand-in,
I
they
know people that
exist.
I'm
do it
fighting that.
I know some
Yeah.
people do it for a job. Like that's
Yeah.
their choice to do
And
it
they
for a
don't wanna
job.
do
They get the
anything else,
insurance
yeah.
and they enjoy it isn't. But I just that's not that's not what I envisioned when I came out here. So it's things take you different places. People meet you. Like I started working at Hawk Anamorphic. I bartended their events. Is how I started. Over there, and they loved me, and I work there pretty much full time.
Fantastic.
So it's things happen that shift things in your life, and it's all a learning experience. I think your show is great for that reason, because sometimes you are set on doing one thing and you wind up doing another. Sometimes, it's just opportunities that you get, people that you meet, things that it's not. Unfortunately, it's not like I'm a good actor. But that doesn't mean I can just walk onto any set and be like, "Here I am." Like
Here I
that's
am.
not how it works. You know what I mean?
But you get
So,
to share that
it's
frustration too, and that experience that you learn through it that leads you to those roles that do pay off.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's
Or,
awesome.
even just auditioning. Sometimes you have an audition and you're like, "That was god awful," and then you get a call back. And other
Yeah.
times you're like, "I killed that," and then they're like, "Bye."
Crickets.
Like so you don't.
Crickets.
It's you
Click.
never know. Yeah,
It's a wild world.
it's a grueling industry. It's a lot of fun, but it's also if there's a lot. You have to, like you said earlier, you have to have thick skin. You have to be able to roll with the punches. You have to not take things personally. And I come from New York, where you would go and audition, and they'd be like, "That is absolute shit. Do not ever come back in here." And other times they'll be like, "Well, we're gonna call you," and they actually did. Here, they just blow smoke up everybody's ass. You know what I mean?
Not so
Like
much
you go
here.
on
Yeah.
your own opinion, like, "Oh, I did really good," and then you don't get a call back, or you're like, "Ugh," and then you do. Like so, it's harder. In New York, it was very much more straightforward. But it's all it's all a learning experience, and
I only
you know,
have
doing what you love.
I only have one thing
It's-
to say. Tune in to season 2 of IPA Sessions because Sabrina's going to have a great episode.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait to come on your show too and talk some more. It's great to have you here though, Jacob. I really appreciate you
Oh,
Thank
being
you
here
so
tonight.
much, Jacob. Really, thank
It's
you.
been fun.
It means a lot to us, and we hope to have you back again soon. Of course, this is not the end of our discussion. There's a lot more stuff to talk about, a lot more stories to get into. If I give you one more moment here, just kind of like tell everybody about your show one more time, sum it all up, and give your final pitch, because we want everybody here at Kruse Control to go over there and check out Jacob's show.
It's IPA Sessions. It's a podcast for independent artists. It's a place where I like to provide inspirations for practical application and entertainment. Tune in bi-weekly for fresh new episodes from independent artists who share their experience and their journey and what they do and how they do it. It's a new season coming February. Be looking out for it. You can follow social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok for all you youngins out there. I know I'm old, but tune in, listen to your elders. We might have some good info for you. So that's IPA Sessions Podcast.
Yeah, it's everyone really should check it out. You should really get into it and look at it or listen to it, I should say, because Jacob does a great job. He brings on some amazing people, and he's a great host. And honestly, you're going to have fun listening to it. You're going to learn something. If you're trying to get into this industry, you're going to hear some great stories from people that have busted their ass and are finding their way, if not found their way already. And I believe that that's what it's going to turn into even bigger for him, where he's going to have a lot of success stories on his show eventually too. So join him now on this path that he will take you on, and you're going to have a great time.